What up, YouTube? Let's here, back again. As always, thanks for visiting the channel. I appreciate that. What do I have for you today? We're going to be doing a scale swap with my Spyderco Warncliffe PM2. I'm going to be putting on some Blurple scales that I got from a buddy of mine. He wasn't using them anymore. Asked if I wanted them. I said absolutely. So I want to give him a shout out. If you guys get a chance, go onto Instagram and follow knife_noob. That's KNIFE_NEWB. He's got a fantastic knife collection, and he's a really good guy. So hope you guys can go over there and give him a follow. I've already done a disassembly of a PM2 for you guys, so I'm not going to go too in depth about that. We're just going to go ahead and switch over the scales. This is definitely one of my favorite PM2s. I love the Warncliffe blade on it. I got this from cutleryshop.com. I don't know if there's any black ones still available, but they did just release another version with orange G10 scales and CHT XHP. I'm sorry, it's XHP blade steel. And I don't know if they have both the satin and the DLC coated blades, but I think they do currently. So if you're interested, go over to Cutlery Shop and purchase one of those guys. Let's go ahead and get started. As I said, we've already done this before, so I'm not going to get crazy in depth with the disassembly information. This one's a little bit difficult to get the lanyard barrel off again, so I'll do that little toothbrush trick to get that off of there just to show you guys. And I hope this helps you learn a few things in the process. So this one's actually pretty easy to break down. Sometimes you'll have issues from the factory getting parts that have too much Loctite inside of them, but I've never had that issue with this particular one. I have had it with PM2s in the past. I try to keep my screws separated if I can to keep from getting them mixed up, because even though they're two different sizes, sometimes you can get them mixed up and then you'll have a hard time, figuring out why you can't get the screw in. Whoops. Okay. One more here. All right, so that was easy work. I try to keep all my stuff in a metallic or in a magnetic bowl if I can, just to keep things from getting lost. All right. And like I said before, I try to use a little bit of lube on my pivot, but I try not to use too much, because I feel like that helps to get stuff all gunked up and everything. So if I can help it, I try to just use a tiny little bit. This one should pop right off. Yeah. Okay. Making quick work of it. Alright, so that looks really good. It hasn't been that long since I've taken this apart, so that's not a huge surprise. Alright. Okay, so when you're doing this, you want to just kind of slide the toothbrush up back and forth. Not too crazy, because that'll happen. Well, luckily they didn't go too far. All right. Now, just make sure that everything's nice and clean. And then I just like to make sure my hardware is all nice and clean and free of any dirt or debris. Looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Got my little tool here that I use for cleaning up my screws. And like I said to you guys before, this is definitely not something that you have to do when you're taking apart your knives or cleaning your knives. I do it just because I'm a little bit neurotic. I have to make sure that it's completely free of any imperfections at all, just because I feel like that's going to mess something up. I know that's not the case, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm, you know, a little bit crazy. It's all right. We all are a little bit, right? I always feel like if you're not crazy, then that makes you weird, but it's just my opinion. And last but not least, okay. So now we can start putting this back together. These are done. Maybe I'll use you guys again someday. We'll see what happens. Okay. I'm really excited to see what these look like. I've always wanted something with these kinds of scales on it. I've just never had the opportunity to brew. I've had the opportunity to buy one. I just haven't done it yet. All right. So I always start off with the longer spacer. Give my Loctite a little bit of a shake. All right. I'm going to start off with one of the smaller screws. A little bit on there. And then we'll screw that in there. Make sure you don't put it in too tight. You'll always be able to adjust it if you need to. Shorter barrel next. The smaller screws. I always try to be careful not to use too much of that stuff because it can really get into your spacer there, and then it can be very hard to get it back out once it's set. All right. Now with this one, I'm not sure how difficult this is going to be to get back in here. So what Spyderco does is they will, when they put the knife together, they'll put the barrel space in there, and at that point the barrel spacer is normal. Once they have it inside the knife, they will insert some kind of a probe or something to kind of flute the end of it, which kind of expands just the very end of the barrel here, just to get it to fit really, really tight. After they do that, it makes it very difficult to get it back out, but it also makes it extremely difficult to get it back in. So sometimes you can kind of rock it back and forth, and it looks like we got lucky there. I was able to just pop it right back in here. Nice. That's always exciting. That is actually really, really easy. It's not usually anywhere near that easy to get that back in there, especially by hand. So that's nice. All right, so we'll go ahead and put a little bit of lube down here. And make sure you've got the polished end of the washer facing towards the blade. And then you want to put your D-shaped end of the pivot back in. Okay, good. So now you can take one of your larger screws, pop that bad boy in there. And always make sure that these screws are going in nice and easy. If they're giving you any resistance, that means you're starting to strip the screw, and you certainly don't want to do that. Spyderco hardware is easy enough to get a hold of, but it's still a pain in the butt. You don't want to have to wait for that to come in the mail and all that. Come on, come on. There we go. Okay, so now we've got everything connected. As I've said before, when you're putting the blade back on here, the most important part is to make sure that you have this in here, just because that's going to stop the blade from hitting any of this stuff here. And you never want to force anything on these guys. A little bit more oil. Polished end of the washer onto the blade. And a little bit more lube. Come on. There we go. Okay. We've got our other side here. I always try to put the barrel spacer on first because that's the best way to center it. Got that bad boy on there. You can pick it up. Careful not to lose it. And like I said before, I like to try to put my pivot screw in next just to keep all the washers and everything supported. Just turn the screwdriver or turn the driver backward until you feel or hear that click so that you know it's going into the track properly. All right, we're looking good. We're almost there, guys. Oh, you're an idiot. Okay. Helps to have the bit in the driver. And it also helps to have the scale on all the way. Sometimes if you put it between your hands, you can wiggle it in there. I'll take this out of here. There we go. Sometimes I forget to do that part because I get excited. A little bit more. Perfect. That one was a little bit harder, but we got her there. Okay, and normally I would just cut something like that out, but I just like to, let people see that sometimes if something isn't fitting properly, just check everything else on the knife to make sure that you didn't miss anything. I think that's good practice. But that's just my opinion. And what they say, opinions are like you know what, but everybody has one and they all stink, so. Okay, so let's see how tight this is. Nice, falls shut. Zero blade play. Perfect. All right. Well, I think that looks beautiful, guys. What do you think? Make sure you use the toothbrush to get all that Loctite off of the face of the screw so it doesn't get all flaky and gross once that dries. And then just wipe everything off and we're done. All right, that went pretty well, guys, I think. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and send me a message. If you like the video, like and subscribe. Again, thanks for visiting the channel. I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.